Young congressman was elected on an anti-war ticket and an anti-slavery ticket. He went up to Washington, and he went to the floor of the House each day, and he said, "Mr. Polk, you say that we have launched this war against Mexico because Mexicans shed American blood in battle. Show me the spot where a single American lost a single drop of blood at the hand of a Mexican. You have manipulated the intelligence. Show me that spot where that happened, and if you cannot, tell me why you should remain as the President of the United States when you have lied to your Congress and the American people in the purpose of an imperial war." When Polk did not answer, the congressman went again the next day, and each day after, putting down his spot resolution, "Show me the spot." Finally, the oldest member of the House of Representatives, John Quincy Adams, a former president, conspired with this young congressman to begin a process of censuring and impeaching Polk. They were so successful that Polk stepped down and did not seek re-election, but they were so angry that they still attached a censure motion to the last resolution of Polk's administration, one honoring the troops who served in the Mexican War. And they said, "We must always honor the troops, but we must never honor the president who sent those troops into a needless and immoral war." And so, in that resolution honoring the troops, they censured James K. Polk. But this young congressman's law partner sent him a letter. He said, "You can't attack a president in a time of war. Troops are in the field. The president is the commander-in-chief." The young congressman wrote back, "The provision of the Constitution giving the war-making power to Congress was dictated, as I understand it, by the following reasons. Kings had always been involving and impoverishing their people in wars, pretending generally that the good of the people was the object of the war. This, our constitutional convention, understood to be the most oppressive of all kingly oppressions. And they resolved to so frame the Constitution that no one man should hold the power of bringing this oppression upon the American people. Should we allow a president to have that power, and should we fail to question him in a time of war, we would make our president a king, and I was not elected to serve a king. Sincerely, Abraham Lincoln." How far we have strayed as a republic. How distant we have become from Madison and Jefferson and Lincoln. We live in a moment when so many in our political life and our press corps go on bended knee before a new King George. What madness, what insanity to suggest that impeachment ought ever be off the table. Impeachment is not a whim or a fantasy. Impeachment is not a conspiracy theory, and it is not the stuff of blue dresses and prudish little men. Impeachment is a live instrument of the Constitution, established for a moment such as this, when the Attorney General of the United States of America stands accused of using his office in a manner that only a solicitor of the king would have in 1775. We live in a moment for which the founders prepared us when they created the power to impeach. And yet we have a disconnection. The people in this room applaud loudly, as in every room I have stood for the last year, for the concept of impeachment, and yet the Congress so cautious, so constrained. We don't want to create a constitutional crisis. Well, Congress, I've got news for you. The constitutional crisis has arrived. And to suggest that impeachment is a constitutional crisis would be like telling me that aspirin is a headache crisis. No. When I get a headache, I take the aspirin to cure it. When I get a constitutional crisis, I take impeachment to cure it. But Jefferson was wise. Jefferson was wise. He prepared us for a moment like this. You know, he once wrote toward the end of his life, "I foresee a day when even the presidency of the United States might be corrupted, when it might be occupied by a devious man who would lie to the Congress and the people, when its purpose might be to serve the business amalgamations of that man's friends rather than the people of the country, when perhaps the office of the presidency might even be occupied by a fool." And Jefferson said, "I foresee a day, such a day, when the Congress of the United States might be unwilling to act because it too might be corrupted or cautious." And he said something else too. It's almost unimaginable. He said, "It is possible in such a day that the free press of this great country might fail to challenge the powerful and might indeed be the servant, the stenographer to the powerful." And Jefferson said, "It is for this reason that we have rested all power in the people, because they alone will defend their republic. They alone will use the avenues given to them to demand that their leaders hold lawless presidents to account." Jefferson said something else as well. He said, "We created a near-perfect republic, but will they keep it?" That "they" did not refer to Congress. That "they" did not refer to the press. It referred to you, the people in this room, the descendants of the founders of this American experiment. Jefferson was a Democrat. Jefferson knew that there would be a moment such as this, and he knew that there would be people such as you. And he created the avenues for people to demand and petition for impeachment. Jefferson's manual for the operation of Congress says impeachment articles can be brought by members of Congress or by state legislatures acting on behalf of the people of those states. There are many ways to advance the cause of impeachment, but there is one responsibility, and that is to do so without fear and without caution. Not because we hate George Bush, although maybe we do hate Cheney, but because we love the republic. The President of the United States in each term creates a toolbox. In that toolbox, he puts the powers of the presidency. George Bush has placed in the box the power to launch wars without declaration and without the truth, the power to spy without authorization, the power to torture, the power to punish his critics. All of these powers placed in the toolbox. And on January 20th, 2009, if we do not sanction him, he will hand that toolbox to the next president, be that president Democrat or Republican. And those powers will become instruments of the presidency in a more permanent way. Our duty is not to punish Bush. Our duty is to protect the republic.